Every time I'd refresh it, the numbers would climb higher and higher. Not just the number of gifts, but the gift amounts. Average gift increased by 18% as well. So it was just really, I was so nervous holding my breath, but it was really exciting to see that the data really spoke for itself and resulted in our most successful fall appeal.
Welcome to the EverTrue Innovators podcast, where we meet the innovative voices behind the ideas moving fundraising forward. Hello and welcome. My name is Keith Maneri. I'm joined today by Madeline Turner, Hannah Davis, my friends, my confidants, and my co-host of this, the EverTrue Innovators podcast. And I have a hypothetical for you both. If you had 95,000 donors, your instinct is to reach all of them, right?
Yes.
Well, this team cut that list down to 25,000.
Which feels terrifying.
And yet, it worked better.
Much better. Let's dive into the strategy that led the Musical Instrument Museum in Phoenix, Arizona to dramatically increase response rates by reaching fewer, but far more qualified donors.
Well, Megan, welcome to the Innovators podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your role, and what Musical Instrument Museum is all about?
Sure. So my name is Megan Bevel. I'm the Senior Philanthropy Specialist here at the Musical Instrument Museum. Coming up on 12 years in September. Started as a part-time guest service associate, kind of made my way up to the philanthropy team. And my work is really focused on the data analytics, managing the database, really trying to make actionable insights from all of the data that we collect. MIM we celebrated our 15th anniversary last year, which was really exciting, coming up on 16 next Friday. And the museum is a global museum. We celebrate and represent cultures and musical traditions from every country on earth. We have about 3,700 instruments on display. I think the one thing that makes us really unique is the technology aspect. So when you come and visit, you get a guide port and it syncs with whichever TV you're standing in front of. So you get to actually hear and watch the instruments in their kind of what I like to call their native habitat, which is really cool. We have a whole slate of education programs, whether you're a little in the mini music makers, all the way up through our music and memory care with seniors. And then we have a 300-seat theater. Last year, I think we did like 360 concerts during the year. So really active schedule. And it's a #1 Phoenix attraction, which is pretty cool. So special place.
Congrats on 15 years. That's amazing. The facility itself looks absolutely beautiful as well for what it's worth.
It is.
Gorgeous. We're here today to talk about how you used our programming and appeal data alongside DonorSearch to build a predictive model that ended up overturning some assumptions that maybe MIM previously had about who would give. But I'd love for you to walk us through what made you finally decide to challenge that setup and what you did differently in 2025.
Sure. So every year in Q4, we do our fall appeal. We mail from anywhere from like 15,000. We did up to 30,000 pieces in prior years. And so, of course, every year I would look at the data and try and decide, why we think people gave. And a lot of it was just looking at the characteristics of the people that gave and what would have motivated them. And so we've kind of found ourselves institutionally with these two kind of buckets of visitors. We've got people who routinely go to concerts and have never stepped foot in the galleries. And then we also have people who only engage with our signature events or education programs, or just come and visit the museum and have never seen a concert. And so traditionally, we've really segmented those two groups with really personalized kind of defining messaging to each of them. And part of it is just we're always trying to be faster, more efficient, work smart, not hard. And so we're just kind of wondering, like, how can we cross-pollinate these populations from an attendance perspective, but also from a philanthropic standpoint. So I just got wind of data science and R through APRA, decided to take the dive into it. And so using the predictive modeling, we were able to, well, essentially what I did, I took 4 years of fall appeal data. It was a lot of what they call data wrangling to get it in the right format to then put into R. And we were able to essentially do three things. So we scored our prospects. Based on the model, I then submitted a file to submitted. I uploaded it to R and had it rank the top 25,000 constituents. So it gave me percentages, and I was able to kind of whittle it down that way. It also brought in some constituents that I wouldn't have normally included in fall appeals. And so that was kind of a risk as well. So we were able to expand our reach that way. And then we decided to go with just one unified message with our artist residency program, which really combines our education initiatives as well as our mid-music theater. And so it was really kind of astonishing and exciting. And we were thrilled.
Correct me if I'm wrong on these stats. From what we have, a 94% revenue increase and 59% more gifts for this appeal. So that's out of this world.
Yes,
on both.
It was
accounts.
very exciting.
Yeah. Can you tell us about the moment where you knew like it was actually working and yeah, just dive into that a little bit more.
Sure. So of course the dashboard is set up to review, year over year, literally day by day, comparing the same day of the appeal cycle to last year. And so, the first couple of gifts come in and you're like, okay, yeah, this is fun, and then I end up, religiously refreshing it like, 6 times an hour. And every time I'd refresh it, the numbers would climb higher and higher. Not just the number of gifts, but the gift amounts. Average gift increased by 18% as well. So it was just really, I was so nervous, holding my breath, trying to, have faith in the data and not feeling like I fully grasped the concept of how R worked initially. But it was really exciting to see that the data really spoke for itself and resulted in our most successful fall appeal.
I mean, I think those are some of the highest numbers that I've seen in a very long time. So that kudos, because that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats again on those. Going back to our pre-interview discussion, something that I was really fascinated about for your story is that your path to art started, correct me if I'm wrong, in the music theory classroom, not in the computer lab.
Yeah.
But you have described the learning curve as steep. So for those that are listening and interested in looking into data, into R, what would you say to a fundraiser who's looking at this as data scientist or as a data science and just thinking, this is just not for me?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I kind of want to dive in a little bit to the music theory aspect. I was a violinist by training and was kind of burned out and thought I would just take music theory as a math credit, also to avoid more calculus. I was really over that from high school. And so it really opened up my eyes. We went back to the Pythagorean ratio, the projection of the 3-to-2 ratio, and kind of the infrastructure of chord progression, identifying patterns. And that just really kind of opened up this other world of music to me. It was so fascinating that I ended up declaring a music major and kind of lived that life for a while. And so I think it kind of created the foundation of looking past just the notes on the page or just the numbers on the screen and really trying to understand what the data is telling you. So I don't think, I am fascinated by data. I would love to, become a formal data scientist. It might not be in the cards right now, but so it was really interesting to just kind of make that connection. When I started taking the course through APRA, I think I did the first module like 10 times and, it finally clicked. And so I was able to kind of go from there. But I think the hardest part was just feeling confident that I could do it. I did, there were a lot of resources out there like APRA, the emergence of new AI technologies. And I think the biggest advice is really just to be brave. approach it with a sense of curiosity. I'm very stubborn, so when I came across a situation I didn't know how to deal with and a problem I didn't really know how to solve, I think my stubbornness just kind of let me push through the pain of it.
Great trait, especially when working with data.
So back to talking about kind of this model. You've had, various findings from it. One of those was that concert ticket purchase history was a larger predictor of giving over a membership level, but and that flipped a lot of assumptions. But can you walk us through what that realization felt like and what was the most surprising about that?
Sure. So kind of touching on what we talked about in the beginning of having those two buckets of museum goers versus concert goers, we've really always seen what the segment we call the frequent concert goers perform really well with membership drives. A lot of the membership benefits are focused on theater benefits like ticket discounts, early access, those types of things. So we've really kind of led with a membership and benefit message first. And so it was interesting to see that that was a higher predictor than where someone's current membership level is. So higher level members, the concert ticket purchase history was more influential than like their last gift or something similar. So that was really interesting to see that our frequent concert goers do feel the impact of more than just the theater. They bought into the artist residency story where we have artists do educational concerts as part of our field trip program. So that was really cool. The second thing was just including our higher level donors. In the past, we've always been a little reluctant to include them, kind of imagining that an impersonal solicitation that they would just get in the mail that's very clearly, designed and mass mailed wouldn't speak as well as a personal solicitation. And we've been so focused here at MIM over the past couple of years of really developing genuine, authentic relationships and really getting to know our donors. And so it was really interesting. I wouldn't have included many of them in this appeal, and many of them did respond. We also had our highest gift ever of $20,000, which was really exciting too, from someone that I wouldn't have included if I was just doing this by hand. And I think the most shocking thing to me, which is really obvious in hindsight, is that I was just looking at the people who responded and what they had in common and not really comparing them to the non-responders. And so again, like looking back, it's like I totally should have recognized that, but kind of in that broader context, it really made a lot of sense.
I was just going to say that it is interesting how sometimes like take whatever can make you take a step back from things and like look a little bit more holistically, whether that's a data model or something else. I feel like it's really awesome to just see how much potential is in there within your current base of patrons, whether they be donors or not yet. I think that's really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also, I'm going to ask a question about lessons, but I think what's wonderful about it too is it does seem like in fundraising, something that I've noticed, even personally working with orgs in myself, um, folks are often seem a little afraid to broaden the scope of their outreach. Maybe they think they're going to be over asking or they think it's the wrong message. But I love just hearing that, you know what, we decided to open up the pool even wider, cast a wide net, and ultimately these are people, it sounds like even though they engage with MIM in different ways too, they just have a love of MIM and want to support it, kind of no matter what. So um,
Right. Yeah, and just the numbers were so fun to look at, but when people give online, there's a box that says "I give because," and it's a free text response. And so it was also really cool to see the responses from donors themselves, talking about how much they connect to the mission of us celebrating music as this universal language and continuing music for generations to come. Even noting things like the our guest experience, which is really a top priority here. So like literally the accessibility of the building and just the incredible work that our volunteers do. And I think my favorite response was just simply stated, MIM is the greatest. So that's always good to read.
That's a great sentiment, and it must be really really rewarding. Well, we talked about a lesson learned, worth casting that wider net. But there are four other lessons I feel like I really took from your story. Uh, don't copy and paste code.
Yes.
Keep your files clean.
Hmm.
Document for your future self, which
Yep.
is something that I also feel very, very strongly.
Yep.
And don't go it alone. So I was going to ask if you had to point to one or two of these lessons that you think made the biggest difference for you personally, what do you think it would be and why?
I think definitely typing in the code. It's sort of like before I really understood music theory, I'd be practicing my scales and I'd just kind of do it by rote, and I didn't really understand what I was doing and why I was doing it. And so at first I started like literally typing in the code. And then it was like a time crunch, and then it went to, well, I'm going to copy this, and I found this error, and this is how to correct it. And instead of like actually fixing it, I was just copying and pasting and starting over. So I think that was really a really big lesson for me. And I think the other one is just documenting for my future self. We've already used R again for our membership drive in March, and our Legacy Circle drive in January. And like, how nice would it have been to actually have that code like in a clean document instead of having to go through, 50 different sheets and trying to clean everything up. So I think those are the biggest ones.
So I'm curious because I do know a lot of engineers that I've worked with at EverTrue as well. There are some, repositories out there where you can copy and paste that code. Have
Mhm.
you used any AI tools for code? And if so, have you just, kind of found that also it may be more worth to at least thoroughly check it or maybe retype it yourself just in case?
Yes, and with AI, of course, we all know that you can't always trust the first response. And there were times where, I'd put an error message in and it would tell me to fix it, and then, I get a different error, and then I, sort of write back, you told me the wrong thing, and it fessed up to its own mistakes at times, which was really nice and admirable. But yes, so it was again easy to copy and paste it, but much more effective to really understand what I was trying to do.
I know how that feels. This morning,
Yeah.
Claude said to me, yeah, comma, my bad. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. I
Very
thought to myself,
humble, right?
seems a little fishy. He goes, yep, my
Yeah.
bad. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I got to be honest. Those are the questions that I had. Hannah, if you have any other questions off the cuff, but otherwise, I do want to ask Megan if there's also anything that you specifically would like to mention about yourself, about the process, about the campaign, or MIM, anything you'd love to plug. Please, this is your space to do so.
Sure. I think it was just kind of a running joke on our team that, has Megan told you about R yet? I'd get so excited. I'd start telling everyone I coded. And given my, medical history, people were a little more concerned about this. Maybe this was heart related and not, literally coding, in R. And of course, all the pirate jokes were there as well. So couldn't resist those. And so it really, I know my team was getting frustrated with me at times because I, put my headphones on and don't talk to me. And, but, the whole team really celebrating the successes. And, I think it was a combination of the predictive modeling, as well as the messaging, that really made the fall appeal successful. So, the nice thing, well, I guess it's a double-edged sword if with outdoing last year is that this year we have to, of course, outdo last year. So I'm not confident that 94%, that's a pretty ambitious goal. I mean, we'll give it a go. But I'm also looking forward to seeing how else we can use R. We've already started using it for projections. It actually came in within $1,000 of my manual projections last year, which was pretty cool. Of course, that only took, an hour versus me, spending days in Excel and all of that. So, and then just looking at it from an attendance perspective, of course, we're trying to get our attendance numbers up, spread the word of MIM, and new programming, of course, is going to require increased contributed revenue. We've got some pretty aggressive goals over the next year. So just really looking forward to see how else we can use R.
Yeah, you raised the bar, I think last year, but as a new, baseline going forward, I feel pretty confident for you that you're
Yeah.
going to be able to maintain that new level, which is really exciting. Well, I did have one thing I figured we should probably ask that I feel like we've omitted from this, and that's my bad, as Claude would say. Um, but just bringing up DonorSearch a little bit too, after all, that is part of the EverTrue family. How did you utilize DonorSearch when it came to using, pulling the data that ultimately was going to be put into this code?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. So I kind of tagged along the donor search screenings and ratings with the data. We have not screened the entire database yet, and so I didn't have scores for we had 100,000 constituents that I had pulled from the database. We didn't have the ability at the time to run a screening on all 100,000 of them. And so I added the ratings for the ones that we have screened and kind of took them along for the ride. And so more to come on that. I think we're still getting fall appeal gifts, even though it's April. I mean, people still return reply forms from like before 2020. They find it, they're like, oh, we're going to make a gift. So definitely more analysis to do. And it's definitely something that has been on my mind. So yep.
I can share that my partner is one of those people who will find a direct mail appeal that has a specific code on it from like a year ago, and then he gives through that, and I'm like, you're messing up their numbers.
Correct. Yes.
You should give to their most recent appeal.
Well, and the other issue, just from like a database hygiene perspective, is like we deactivate those codes, and so
Right.
now you've got to go on the back ends, like reactivate them, add them to the record types. And so it just, of course, we're grateful for the money. So if anyone who's watching this has an old appeal card, please send it in.
Yeah.
Well, in honor of R, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't end. Let's see. There you go.
Oh my gosh. We were imagining I'd have like a little parrot on my shoulder or something.
Yeah,
Wow, is this one of the things that we can, do you just have that? Wait,
oh, it's one of the official Zoom.
Yeah.
I love
Wow.
it. Nice.
I hope your marketing team sees this and says, wow, this is.
I don't even know how to do that. Is that something I can do too?
Are you?
It
yeah.
is.
Oh, very
Excellent.
There we are.
Very nice. Love it.
Well, I don't think a podcast has ever ended as wonderfully as this is as right now. Megan, I want to say congratulations. Not just congratulations on the award, but the massive success after taking the time to, think kind of outside of the box, both in terms of who that you're talking to, but how you're going about identifying, who to talk to and how to talk to them too. Obviously, the numbers really speak for themselves. So congratulations so much on that.
Thank you.
I've never delivered something so heartfelt while dressed as a pirate before.
I've never received anything heartfelt dressed as a pirate. So what a day to be alive.
Yeah.
This is the height of technology. This is it. We did it. And thank you so much for joining us today and being so generous with your time and sharing your story with, I think the audience is going to absolutely love hearing this, want to emulate what you've done, and hopefully feels more confident diving into dipping their toes into the world of data science without having to feel like it's so daunting.
Yep. Indeed. Thank you so much for having me. This is a great honor.